Everyone, Sleepy Reader here. I'm doing a bit of a screen share video. I'm looking at one of my favorite websites for dwelling on comic nostalgia, Mike's Amazing World of Comics, the newsstand feature. Today what I want to do is go back to 1961, to August 1961. And I want to look year by year at Augusts. And originally I picked August because in 1971, the first comic I ever bought was in August, was an August release, or on the newsstands in August. So the 1971, but I thought we'd go back to 1961 because conveniently that turns out to be the month that Fantastic Four number one came out, the beginning of the Marvel Age of Comics. So I thought this is a fun way for me to kind of look at the progress of Marvel Comics during a period that fascinates me, the Silver Age and the beginning of the Bronze Age. I particularly was interested in the years just before I started reading comics when I was a kid. I felt like I'd missed out on the specialness. So back in August of 1961, probably a few days after I was born, because I was born July 30th, 1961, Fantastic Four number one came out. There it is, 25 pages. I assume that's 25 pages of story. It was a bi-monthly comic at the time, 10 cents. The actual page count was 32 pages. Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, George Klein, with this now oh-so-familiar cover. And it's interesting to note there are 17 comics total that Marvel produced that month. And most of them are these monster mystery kind of magazines. But they also had some westerns. And they had some straight-ahead romances. And they also had kind of the teen comedy romance type of thing with Millie the Model. And it's more in the Archie vein, I think, and Patsy Walker. I really would like to get some Patsy Walker, given her connection to Patsy Walker, a.k.a. Hellcat. So yeah, and here we have the combination of the two, the teenage romance, but it doesn't look like comedy. So anyway, they must have been doing romance and horror, basically. And then along came the Fantastic Four. So let's skip a year to August 1962. And we see they're still doing plenty of the teen romance, teen comedy, and such. I don't see a straight-ahead romance thing here, unless Student Nurse is straight-ahead romance without the comedy. I'm not sure. But we've got Millie the Model, Patsy Walker, Kathy, Life with Millie, Student Nurse. So two Millie the Models. That's really their biggest title, was Millie the Model, like their Batman of the time. But now we've got the Fantastic Four. We've got Thor and Journey to Mystery. He's had 3 issues so far. And one other superhero title of a sort. In Strange Tales, we get one Human Torch story and then a more standard mystery horror story. It's not a reprint. So 3 superhero comics out of the total of, well, even less comics are being published. So 12 comics published that month, 3 of which had superheroes in it. So a whole year into the Marvel Age, and it hasn't really taken off yet. I mean, it's going well. I think I've read somewhere that, once they realized how popular Fantastic Four was, they made it monthly. Let's see if it's listed as monthly now. Yep, frequency monthly. 12 cents now, and 23 pages of actual story. So anyway, it's kind of cool to see how gradual this really was. And 1963, we've still got 2 Millie the Models. We've got Patsy Walker, we've got Kathy. But now we've got The Amazing Spider-Man. I think we've probably skipped over the Hulk here. I think he had a few issues and then didn't sell well. Spider-Man's monthly already. And it's, of course, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. So we've got Spider-Man, we've got Fantastic Four, we've got Thor and Journey to Mystery, and we've got the Human Torch still in Strange Tales. Thank you, slow internet. So it looks like we've got Human Torch and Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange is on the scene now, too, by Lee and Ditko. An 8-page Doctor Strange story. So we've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we've got Iron Man and Tales of Suspense, and we've got, pardon me, that's probably the wrong way to go. And we've got Giant Man in Tales to Astonish. And so Giant Man shares a comic with a more classic mystery story, The End of the World. So superheroes are moving in, but it's still not an overwhelming number of superheroes here. I don't see the Avengers, although I think they would be going by now, especially if we're seeing Giant Man. So maybe the Avengers was bi-monthly. I'm just going to go back a month and see if there's Avengers. Yep. Avengers #1 was the month before. So Avengers basically came along in the third year. That's interesting. Somehow I thought they came a little earlier. Third year of the Marvel Age. Okay, now 1964, the Marvel Age is really kicking in. In fact, there are already reprints. Is this reprints? No, I guess it's not. I'm sorry. Is this one a reprint? No. So I'm wrong. I think the reprints maybe come the next year. So we've still got 2 Millie the Models. We've got Patsy Walker. We've got the 2 Gun Kid. I think that's the... Oh, and Kid Cult Outlaw. I always like that name, Kid Cult Outlaw. Although when you think of it, it's just Kid Baby Cow Outlaw. And then this oddity, Monsters to Laugh With by Stan Lee, which was kind of a... They took movie stills from horror movies, and Stan Lee wrote in joking word bubbles in there. I feel like I saw one of these issues when I was a kid. Maybe someone had a back issue. But I've never read one as an adult. So we have a lot. We have Spider-Man, we have the Avengers, we have Daredevil with his own comic, Fantastic Four. Thor now dominates the cover of what is still called Journey into Mystery. Journey into Mystery with Thor. And we've got the Howling Commandos are number 11, so they've been going for quite a while. Soon to be all reprints, I think. And we've got Iron Man and Captain America sharing a comic. We've got the Human Torch and Doctor Strange sharing a comic. So we've got a lot of superheroes. So that's pretty cool. I think by 1964 you could really feel there was a Marvel universe. And then 1965 we really, I think, kick in because now the Fantastic Four is entering its peak period, I think, with the beginning of the Little Inhumans saga, which led into the Silver Surfer Galactus saga, and just glorious things happened for a few years there. We've got Spider-Man, Avengers, Daredevil, Fantastic Four, Thor, still Journey into Mystery. Marvel Tales, is this a reprint book? Yep. A reprint book which mentions the term Marvel Age right on the cover. So already, if you think about it, 4 years into the Marvel Age, you got fans who are going to be fine with reprints because the audience refreshed itself very frequently. Although soon they'll be realizing the audience also remains a lot longer. I see the Watcher here in a Hulk story. That's interesting. So yeah, still 2 Millie the Models, Patsy Walker. 3 Millie the Models this month. So So we got Millie the Model, Modeling with Millie, and Millie the Model Annual. He had a lot of annuals in the summertime. So we have 16 comics in the Marvel age of 1965, although not all of them were in the superhero universe. So maybe more like, I count Sergeant Fury as being part of the Marvel universe. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe about 10 comics that were part of the Marvel universe, subtracting the westerns and the Millie the Model stuff. 1966, heading into the age of the hippies. And we've got Thor beginning to really take off creatively. And of course, Fantastic Four's going from strength to strength. This was kind of a follow-up on the Black Panther story with Claw attacking Fantastic Four in New York City. Got a Fantastic Four annual. Another reprint book called Fantasy Masterpieces. I think some of this would reprint, Golden Age work, a 1941 comic. Love that cover, though. Still got some westerns going. Still got 2 Millie the Models. Millie the Model really was a rock star of Marvel Comics. They only have 1 Spider-Man comic. Well, they've got an annual and a Spider-Man comic, but 2 separate Millie the Model titles. Were they bi-monthly? Monthly. Well, so it was 8 times a year. I remember those 8 times a year books. They used to have those when I started reading too. And and this one is 14 times a year though, or 13 times a year. The regular Millie the Model comics. We got the X-Men going on. Maybe they were bi-monthly, and that's why I missed them earlier. That's a great Kirby cover there. This is a strange-looking cover. This Tales to Astonish. Who did the cover? Bill Everett. So, let's see, 1967. Look, the number gets bigger. I don't think they've switched distributors yet, but I think the distributor owned by DC finally loosened its rules and let them put out more comics, which then included more reprints. 1942 Captain America there. And Thor is now in his own, has taken over the series. The numbering stayed the same. Still got Kid Cult. We've got Ghost Rider, the Western version of Ghost Rider. 2 Howling Commandos came out that month, apparently. 2 Thors. I wonder if that's why there appear to be so many here. Maybe there was a scheduling problem, or maybe just a bookkeeping problem that makes it seem like 2 issues of some of these came out in the same month. Maybe it was one of those 5-week things. Not Brand X is out there, something that is a new favorite of mine in the old days, these old comics. Love the Mary Severin Mad Magazine type of takes on superheroes. 1968, The Summer of Love, gives us some Captain Marvel love. That's an awesome cover by John Romita. We got Spider-Man and a Spider-Man Annual, the classic Vision comic. Fantastic Four, this classic annual cover. And this not quite as good regular issue. And here's another favorite Hulk, a favorite Hulk cover of mine by Trimpy and Severin. So now we still have 1 Millie the Model. And did I see a Western in here somewhere? But it's, and we now have Captain Savage and his Leatherneck Raiders, another war comic. Objective Ben Grimm. So this clearly does, maybe we get a glimpse of Ben Grimm in wartime. This definitely connects to the Marvel Universe. Okay, let's move on past the Summer of Love to 1969. Looks like they brought in a new Archie imitator, Chili, Millie's red-headed rival. Oh, okay, it connects to Millie. Captain Marvel's got the new costume. Oh, that's a great cover. So, let's see. I don't know if we have any of the double comics anymore. The split between two characters. I think everything is there's a Hulk comic going on. There's Iron Man, Millie the Model, reprint stories. My Love. Now they were trying to do a modern, at the time, love, hip to the hippie kind of thing. I Do My Thing, No Matter Whom It Hurts, by Stan Lee, John Buscema, and John Romita Jr. So I think there was an attempt to bring the more modern Marvel thing into a romance comic. I'd love to read those. And then what the heck is Peter the Little Pest? That must not have lasted too long. So that's supposed to be like Dennis the Menace. Okay, let's move on to 1970. Now we're getting really close to the beginning of my career as a reader. Avengers Annual, Spider-Man, Amazing Adventures, which was bringing back the split in two comic for a little while. We got a Hulk and a Hulk Annual. I love that Hulk cover. Yeah, there was a time when Herb Trimp really could do those covers. The Westerns are still in here. Rawhide Kid, Ringo Kid, two Thors with a Thor Annual, Tower of Shadows. It feels like, I don't think the code had loosened up quite yet, but I think they were wanting to get back to horror, and they eventually had a big horror boom in the 70s when the comics code loosened up. And they're bringing back the reprints of the mystery magazines, the monster magazines, I should say. Two Gun Kid also, so we got at least 3 Westerns. My Love's still going on. 4 Westerns, wow. And still Millie is going on, mad about Millie. Oh, come on, Internet, this is too slow. Believe it or not, I pay Comcast for like 75 megabit download. Clearly, I don't get it all that often. And I'm plugged into the Ethernet. Oh, well, I give up on that. Yeah, so 1971, the year I started reading comics, I picked up in somewhere in Vermont, maybe somewhere near Stowe, Vermont, The Avengers, This Beachhead Earth, with Neil Adams' artwork, plunging us into the beginning of the Kree-Skrull War. And we've got Conan now as a major deal in the Marvel Universe. Chamber of Darkness. Has Dracula started yet, or he's going to be starting soon? Still got quite a bit of Westerns. Two Gun Kid, where the Ghost Rider, the Western version of the Ghost Rider is still going. So I remember looking at the covers of a lot of these comics. I could only get one, and I picked the Avengers because I had a lot of heroes I recognized on the cover. Maybe I'd seen a little bit of the Fantastic Four and Captain America on TV. They didn't actually show those shows, I think, on channels where I lived. But when I went to visit my grandma in New York, I would get to see more TV. Great Hulk cover again. So, yeah, the Marvel Universe has grown quite a bit in that 10-year period. Another 10 years take us head to the beginning of the direct market era. But I think I'll stop here. I don't want to go on too long. Maybe I'll take another look at this. If you haven't played around with the newsstand feature on this website of Mike's Amazing World, I highly recommend it. You can look at all publishers for a given period of time. So there's everything that was published, that was on the newsstand in theory in August 1971. Lots of Richie Rich and Sad Sack and Sugar and Spike, Tom and Jerry, Teen Confessions. Vampirilla number 14 was already out. I didn't see that. Super Goof, Uncle Scrooge, Wendy, Top Cat. Yeah. Fun times, fun times. Okay, I will talk to you all very soon.